Welcome, dear viewers. Today is not really a happy day because of the topic of discussion. Today, we'll be looking at my faith as a Christian, looking at my freedom as a Nigerian, and the freedom of my country as Nigeria, and looking at the relationship between Nigeria and the United States. Precisely on October 31, 2025, President Trump twisted on his X handle. He said, Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria, my country. Thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for mass slaughter. I hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern. But this is the list of it. This is the list that President Trump will be doing. He went further to say, when Christians or any such group is slaughtered like is happening in Nigeria, 3,100 versus 4,476 worldwide, something must be done quick. These are some of the words of President Trump. So today, we'll be looking at what exactly is happening in Nigeria, which is the killing of Christians in Nigeria. Based on available statistics, is this information true? We'll be looking at the reaction of Nigerian government towards this killing of Christians in Nigeria. We'll be looking at the reactions of the Nigerian president to the speech delivered by President Trump, and what exactly is the reaction of President Trump to Nigeria. These are things we'll be doing in this analysis. Join me in this journey. So the first question I ask is, why has President Trump declared this speech, and why is it concerned? Let's evaluate his speech. One, President Trump cited data to support his speech, and this data followed the Open Doors International Organization data that says that nearly 70% of all Christians that were killed based on their faith last year, which was in year 2024, 70% of these deaths actually were in Nigeria. And that brought about the statistics that President Trump gave, that 3,100 deaths occurred in Nigeria out of the total 4,476 deaths of Christians that occurred worldwide. This is really alarming, and this is not good. President Trump went further to frame the action under International Religious Freedom Act, IRFA mechanism. He went further by saying he has designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern because of the severe violations of religious freedom in Nigeria. This data can further be confirmed from Fox News, which is the favorite news station for President Trump. Confirmed that 70% of Christians that were killed worldwide in year 2024 happened to occur in Nigeria. So, who is Nigeria? Nigeria is a country located in Africa, precisely in West Africa. Nigeria has a population of more than 230 million as a whole. This was a report of the United Nations population statistics as at November 2025. 53% of this population are Muslims, and that is slightly above 122 million people. 46% are Christians, and that is close to 106 million. And finally, 1% is the traditional or indigenous religion in the country. Out of these 46 million Christians, 60% of it, which makes over 63 million, happen to be Protestants, and finally 40% of the Christians happen to be Catholic. That makes over 42 million. This data is based on the peer research record. So the question remains, are Christians being killed in Nigeria? Let us analyze this question based on available data in place. According to ACLED, which is an independent, impartial conflict monitoring organization that provides real-time data and analysis on violent conflict and protests in all countries and territories across the world. ACLED in year 2022 confirmed that between January 1, 2020 and June 30, 2022, that 5% of the total number of violent events in Nigeria, that at least 5% happen to be violence targeting Christians within Nigeria, and this is a 5%. That is really very, very sad. ACLED went further to present the distribution of these violent events in Nigeria and those ones that are targeted towards Nigeria. According to the chart presented by ACLED shows that out of the 36 states in Nigeria and the Federal Capital Territory, only 4 states as of 2022 that didn't experience violent events targeted towards Nigerians. What it means is that nothing less than 33 states, including the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria, had experienced violent events targeted towards Christians. This is absolutely bad and condemnable. Looking at the statistics provided by the UK House of Parliament, in year 2020, it shows that nothing less than 3,613 Christians were killed in Nigeria and 977 Christians were adopted. In year 2021, it reveals that nothing less than 4,303 Christians were killed in Nigeria and nothing less than 2,312 Christians were adopted. Finally, in year 2022, it shows that nothing less than 4,877 Christians were killed in Nigeria and nothing less than 4,634 Christians were adopted, making a total of 12,793 Christians that were killed between year 2020 and 2022 in Nigeria. Human beings killed in thousands, and nothing less than 7,923 Christians were adopted. Human being. Why? Because of their faith. Going further, it shows that between April and June 2023, nothing less than 1,637 Christians were killed in Nigeria, and nothing less than 642 Christians were adopted. At least 119 Christians were attacked in communities, which led to fatalities. And nothing less than 511 Christians had other types of attacks. This is absolutely wrong, not acceptable in a country. Data went further to show that in year 2023, precisely December 24, the eve of the Christmas of year 2023, there were several villages in Plateau State, which is one of the states in Nigeria, that were attacked over the night. And these events led to nothing less than 160 people that were killed and nothing less than 15,000 people that were internally displaced within the country. These events were suspected to have been executed by the Fulani militants within the country, such that nothing less than 8 churches were burnt down just in a night. This is totally condemnable. In year 2024, precisely February 29, 2024, Genocide Watch Organization released that since year 2000 till year 2024, as at the time of giving this report, that nothing less than 62,000 Nigerian Christians have been killed in a country that exists with presidents. This is totally condemnable. What are the sources of this attack? The first, according to UK Parliament, says that this violence was perpetrated by Islamist extremist groups. In Nigeria, this group includes the Fulani militants, Boko Haram, and the Islamic State of West African Province, which exists in Nigeria. 2, UK Parliament confirmed that this violence has also been as a result of the violence between the elders, who are the cattle rearers, and the farming communities in the Central Belt southwest of Nigeria. Now, one question that came up that the Nigerian military asked some time ago was, how did Boko Haram, this militant group, how are they getting sophisticated weapons? And one answer to that was an allegation that came against USAID, which is the United States Agency for International Development, sometimes in year 2025. It was revealed by the US Congressman Scott Perry, who claimed that USAID has been funding Boko Haram and other international terrorist organizations in Nigeria and West Africa. However, after further investigation by the United States government, the US came out with the conclusion and rejected the allegations that the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID, is funding Boko Haram and other terrorist groups in Nigeria. Well, this is the conclusion that we know, but what is the reality is what we don't know yet. How are these terrorist groups getting sophisticated weapons and foreign currency to fund their activities? In all of these that are happening in Nigeria, Nigeria as a country has been enjoying that good relationship with US over the past years. In fact, in the recent time, according to Nigeria Vanguard, shows that in August 15, 2025, that US has approved nothing less than 346 million US dollar arms sale to boost the federal government of Nigeria's counter-terrorism capabilities to fight against Boko Haram. So all this while, Nigeria has been enjoying the good side with the United States. So what has suddenly changed in the recent time? Another beautiful question to ask is, what has been the reaction of the government of Nigeria to all these killings? The Christians in Nigeria, and even beyond Christians as well too, killing people. All that we could get so far in the research is that Nigerian government has not been paying a serious attention to address this concern. In fact, in the recent time, it is confirmed that Nigerian government is having a peace deal with the bandits or terrorists in Nigeria. According to Sahara Reporters in September 21, 2025, says Islamic cleric Gumi urges Nigerian military orders to protect peace deal with bandits. Says they should be rehabilitated like Niger Delta militants. Rehabilitated. Right. This is from Daily Post that says Nigerians have surrendered to bandits. This was September 29, 2025. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, this has been your reactions to all the killings in Nigeria. This is totally not the best option that we have, isn't it? It has a lot of negative consequences. Another question that one we ask is, what exactly is the reaction of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu when President Trump classified Nigeria as country of particular concern? Let's look at the reaction of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria. Report confirms, according to Nigerian Punch, says that the representative, who is the special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on information and strategy, the person of Bayo Ononuga, said the claims of Christian killings in Nigeria is a gross exaggeration. According to all the data we have now, including the local data in Nigeria, so all these are exaggeration. These are clear double standard by the presidency. These are insincerity on the side of the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. No doubt, President Trump has to come in. Indeed, as a Nigerian and the view of many Nigerians, we are very happy the way President Trump has come in. We are happy the way President Trump has really made President Tinubu to be on his toes and do the right thing. Secure the lives of the people. Secure the lives of Nigerians. It is a right, and it is your primary responsibility as the president and the commander-in-chief of armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Consequently to the denial of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the killings of Christians in Nigeria, President Trump went further to release this statement on his X handle. He said, if Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the United States of America will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country. Guns are blazing. That is military interference from America into Nigeria to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. I am hereby instructing our Department of War in the United States to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thought attack our cherished Christians. Warning: the Nigerian government better move fast. Let's analyze the statements. One is that if Nigerian government does not take a decisive action, then US government we have to move in. First, US government will stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria. Yes, I support that 100%. In the first place, why are we collecting aid from? We have all it takes for us to give aid to ourselves in Nigeria. Stop the corruption, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We don't need to start begging the world for aid or assistance. He went further to say a disgraced nation. I don't want to comment on that, but that is quite a very sensitive comment, President Trump. He said guns are blazing, meaning military interference from the United States, invasion of the military into Nigeria. Another very important statement is fast, vicious, and sweet interference to kill the terrorists in Nigeria. And President Trump went further to say he cherished the Christians. He cherished the Christians. Cherishing the Christians in a disgraced country. What a contradiction, Mr. President Trump. Mr. President Trump, we appreciate your love to the Christians in Nigeria. In fact, we appreciate the way you have spoken to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We have all been saying this all these years, the killings in Nigeria, the high level of insecurity in Nigeria. The government has never listened to us. With your interference, they are now running to make things right. We appreciate that. And we also appreciate your love to the Christians in Nigeria, even though you said it is a disgraced country. We appreciate this. But can we appreciate the military interference, Mr. President Trump? Can we appreciate when the US military invade into Nigeria? A sovereignty. This is a concern on its own. I mean, we have evidences of countries that US has invaded over years. Talking about the Iraq. The end result of Iraq include the death of hundreds of thousands of civilians. And the conclusion of the mission was that it failed. We look at Afghanistan. Afghanistan also ended with the death of hundreds of thousands of civilians. Again, the evaluation of the mission confirmed that it failed. Looking at Libya, for example, in year 2011, Libya also ended with the death of civilians as well too. And the mission is classified to be failed. Looking at Somalia as well too, your interference, the US interference in Somalia, what are we having? Mixed feeling if the mission is accomplished or not. We don't want Nigeria to enter statistics of negativity. When US invade Nigeria, we don't want Nigeria to enter the statistics of Iran, Afghanistan, Libya, and Somalia, because we know we shall be victims. Mr. Trump, as much as we appreciate your interference on putting our governments into tours, running, let them run. You have all the legal and legitimate power that you can use to put pressure on the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We want you to use that approach. Instead of using the military approach, we know it will only end up in sorrow for civilians, because many civilians will be killed. Evidences are there. Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, and Somalia. President Trump, we appreciate you, and we want you to use the legal approach, Mr. President Trump. Recommendations for Nigerian government. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you must, as a matter of emergency, accept and acknowledge the fact that there are killings of Christians in Nigeria. You have never accepted this. You need to accept it, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you need to work with the United Nations to prevent external military intrusion into Nigeria. Without the consent of the United Nations and the government of Federal Republic of Nigeria, because we are a sovereign state, and so we need to be respected as a sovereign state. It is our right. It is not a privilege. Next, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you need to make a request on official diplomatic dialogue with the United States and call for clarification from the United States State Department, and never engage in a media war with the United States. All we want is solution and progress. Next, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you need to direct all Nigerian national security agencies, all the armed forces, to strategically intensify protection around the worship centers, all vulnerable communities, and Nigeria borders against bandits and terrorists coming into Nigeria. It is your primary responsibilities. Stop having negotiations with bandits and terrorists. It is disgraceful and unacceptable. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you need to launch a national violence and religious freedom dashboard showing incident data for both Christians and Muslims for the purpose of transparency. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you need to begin fast-track trials for perpetrators of terror attacks. Demonstrate justice in action. Stop negotiating with terrorists. Terrorists are terrorists. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you need to invite international observers and human rights groups to verify Nigerians' counter-terror efforts. Yes, you need to be open to the international community. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you need to conduct independent audits of killings and prosecutions to improve credibility. Beyond your cabinet, you need to have an independent audit system. Your cabinet seems to be deceiving you, giving you only political statistics that they want you to hear. With an independent audit body, you can hear on two sides and be very sure to validate the information that is coming from your cabinet. And finally, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you need to establish a Nigerian-US Religious Freedom and Civilian Protection Task Force. Again, to justify that you are transparent and you are ready to address these concerns. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. These are some of our requests. And I know that the wisdom of your cabinet is more than this. Please, do this for us. If you don't do, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, history is watching you. We are all watching you. And we will never forgive you, nor forget what your regime has done to us. Recommendations to the United States. President Trump, once again, we appreciate you the way you have addressed the situation on the government of Nigeria that has made them to give concern as a matter of priority to this insecurity in Nigeria. However, I have the following recommendations for you. President Trump, the U.S. should clarify that any action under the International Religious Freedom Act, IRFA, is legal and procedural, and never a military interference. President Trump, we are a sovereign nation. We deserve the respect. Again, we appreciate and we acknowledge your effort to address this insecurity in Nigeria. President Trump, kindly use targeted sanctions on individuals or groups, militants, bandits, that prove to violate religious freedom in Nigeria. Please use the necessary sanctions on those individuals, not on Nigeria as a whole. President Trump, can you support Nigeria the way you have been supporting Nigeria with forensic training, intelligence sharing, and community peace building instead of threats against our sovereignty? Finally, President Trump, kindly publish transparent CPC, country of particular concern criteria and measurable benchmarks for the government of Nigeria to know and to be able to use it for improvement that Nigeria should follow. We appreciate you, President Trump. And we are looking towards Nigeria that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will do the right thing, and peace will be reinstated back to Nigeria. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our eyes are on you. We want you to do the right thing. In either case, we will never forget and we will never forgive you if anything goes wrong with us, with our dear country, Nigeria. God bless Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless United States of America. Dear viewers, thank you for watching this video to this point in time. Kindly give your comments in the comment section below. Ensure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share this video. Till I meet you in the next video, ensure you are happy and remain peaceful. Bye for now.